Guys, Corey here with SlashGear, and we're taking a look here at the DROID DNA one more time. I wanted to show you guys a little bit more about the phone as far as the hardware and software instead of just, the usual unboxing video here. So as you can see here, we have this large, massive 5-inch smartphone here from HTC and Verizon. And we already should know plenty about it already, so I'm not going to really jump into specs or whatnot too much, but just hit the basics here. Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. We have Sense 4 Plus is actually what they're calling it. It's not too much different overall. We have a 2.1 megapixel front-facing camera that's supposed to be wide angle, 8 megapixel rear shooter. But the important stuff here, aside from the Beats audio and all that, is the quad-core Snapdragon S4 1.5 gigahertz processor, 2 gigs of RAM, and that 5-inch 1920 by 1080 full HD display. So I mean, as you can see, I mean it's kind of something you can wield in your hand there. It's a pretty big phone, out the gate. But other than that, that's just a quick rundown on the specs here. So the screen, I mean, it looks great. Obviously, I mean, it's SLCD3 that HTC is known for, so I mean, it works pretty good outside, the lighting and everything, and then the viewing angles have been pretty good as well. I don't know if I'll be able to really show that too much on video, but as you can see, as you kind of rotate, I mean, the color stays really good, the contrast. I mean, if you can just, look at that. But other than that, here we have some neat little designs. There's this like speaker grill look here. They're actually not speakers, which is kind of a bum deal, but that's just as usual down here below. And there's a notification LED back here, which some might like, because the only other LED is in here, which is kind of small and very hard to see. But at the same time, if you don't want that blinking light while you're at the dinner table or something like that, when you flip your phone over, it's still going to be going off here, because there's actually an LED light over here. And it's also not RGB, can't do multiple colors from what I can tell. So we have red or orange and green. So not a bunch of colors here, otherwise I'd like to, blue for different things and what have you. And then other thing here, obviously there's no removable battery, which is a major bummer, something that we've been seeing more and more lately, and I'm definitely not a fan of. It's only a 2020 milliamp hour battery with a quad-core processor and a huge HD display, so you can't replace that, you can't extend it. That might be a worry for some. Battery for us here at Android Community has been a bit of a toss-up. A few days I barely got more than like 6.5 to 7 hours of pretty decent usage, but then the other times I've had like 12, 13. But I'd say for the average user it should be fine, but a power user is definitely going to be reaching for a charger halfway through the day. And then we have a door here on the bottom for the USB, and I'm not a fan of this either. Old school Nokias and Sonys, back in the day, you charge once every 4 days. That's not too bad. When I'm plugging this in twice and then I'm trying to fumble with this and get it to go in, I'm not really a fan of the little button there, to be honest, or the little door there at all. But I mean, while trying to find that and unplug it, and then hold it out of the way while driving to plug in a USB. Yes, I plug my phone in while driving. It's been kind of I don't know. I'm not a fan. Let's just say that. But enough of that here. Everyone's different on that. So as far as the hardware and software, we have Android 4.1 Jelly Bean here and Sense 4 Plus. And as you can see, you have that same, lock screen as usual, where you can slide right into, certain things. Let's not get that going here. Messages. Go right into the internet. And then here's their browser, which, being this HD display, just looks great. I don't know if you can see that very well on screen, but everything ends up extremely crisp and actually pretty impressive as far as text on browsing the web and what have you. But a couple things here. You push and hold the home button here to go to Google Now, which we all know. Google, what's the weather in Las Vegas?
It's 68 degrees and partly cloudy in Las Vegas.
Will it rain this week in Las Vegas? Oops. Go to androidcommunity.com.
Opening webpage.
Go to the webpage. So we have Google Now. We have the new, some camera features. Obviously, Sense changes the cameras on their own with HTC and their image sense processing. So not a lot of that's new. But as far as the software here, I mean, it's still everything we know about HTC Sense, and it's extremely quick, as you can see here. I've loaded up a bunch of apps and whatnot, so don't mind everything in here, but as you can see, it's just everything's extremely smooth and stable. We have this ongoing connect to Wi-Fi, which is a major bummer. There's no way to disable that. So I mean, it's always telling you to connect to Wi-Fi. That's kind of an ongoing theme here with Verizon. But they do have quite a bit of settings in the Wi-Fi, options here. When you come in, go to Advanced. You can block networks. You notify me when networks are available. Keep it on during sleep. Use best Wi-Fi performance. If you enable that, it actually consumes more power. I don't know if you can see that on screen, but they have a best Wi-Fi performance button. It's actually disabled right now, so my battery life would probably be worse if I turn that on. And then never turn on auto Wi-Fi, a few things like that. But there's no way actually around that. Ongoing consistent notification up here. And if you turn on NFC, you get the same problem. Be up there saying NFC is enabled and whatnot. So I mean, when you're doing Android Beam and whatnot, that'll be there. And then here's, as usual, the capacitive buttons with HTC. You push and hold that, and it gets to your your recent apps, which is decent. Obviously, I mean, I'm a fan of Android 4.1 much more, or stock Android. You swipe up to clear these different things you've been doing here. But then when you go to something like the browser, I think I just killed it, so, and then you go to the multiple tabs here, it's not the same. I mean, it's similar. You can't swipe them to clear them. Instead, you have to, go back to those old school methods where you have to find the little X, so that not too uniform there between, multitasking with open windows and open tabs. I kind of figured that would be kind of uniform, but I mean, other than that, everything's great. The camera's pretty impressive. Let's see what I have here. One of some of those screenshots. A couple neat little animations as you go through them. But then I mean, obviously the screen is amazing. Going to something here. Let's find something good here. A movie. I know I have some movies on here somewhere. Some Transformers. Then Beats audio integration. The audio is great. So then, of course, watching movies on that 5-inch display, it's easy for everyone to do because those viewing angles are pretty good from what you can see here on my video. I mean, look at that. It should tell you kind of all you need to know. But overall, I mean, I'm pretty impressed here. The phone is a little large in the hand. Another thing I didn't really mention is that power button up top. The power wake button is at the very, very top, along with that 3.5mm headphone jack and a slot for, the 4G LTE SIM card. But when you're holding the phone, and doing stuff down here, and then you got to turn the phone off, it's kind of a, there's multiple shifts in your hand to get your finger up there high enough to actually hit that button, and then come back down to even unlock the phone. So I mean, you hit that, and you have to use your other hand or kind of rotate your hand. It's just a little big. A lot of people might like that. Obviously, the Galaxy Note 2, 5.3, 5.5. So I mean, this definitely isn't the biggest phone, but it's certainly pretty large. So that might be something that users might want to give it a try in the store before you try it, or before you buy it, just to kind of see if it's going to do for what you need. But then other than that, I mean, since here they've kind of changed a little bit. It's slightly closer to Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, but still very much Sense. It's Sense 4 Plus. Come in here, go to About Phone. Software. I don't know if you can see that on screen there. Android 4.1. Android 4.1.1. But overall, that was just a little look here at the Verizon DROID DNA by HTC. Nice phone here. The screen I've been very impressed with. The battery life leaves a little to be desired, especially for a power user. The little door here in the way of the charger, and then the odd placement of the power button at the very top just kind of makes for a slightly uncomfortable usage scenario for me personally. But overall, it's a great phone. It's been extremely impressive. I've been using it for about 5 days straight. Again, some days battery life's terrible, some days it's pretty good, along with anything. But for most average users, you should be fine. One thing I was surprised with was there was no note-taking apps, or I mean the Galaxy Note focusing heavy on that, obviously, with their stylus S Pen. Nothing here from Verizon. They're not calling this a phablet. This is strictly a smartphone. And there's no special note-taking apps or things like that we've also seen with the LG Optimus Vu, another 5-inch, or massive device. But overall, that was it here. The Verizon HTC DROID DNA. More details, pictures, benchmarks, and speed test results will all be in the review. So thanks for watching, guys.